Angel Reese just strutted her way down the Victoria's Secret runway wearing nothing but lingerie, and the internet is absolutely losing its mind. But here's the part no one's really talking about. This isn't just another celebrity modeling moment, it's a complete 180 from everything Angel has ever claimed to stand for. Less than 2 years ago, she stood in front of cameras, teary-eyed, telling the world she was being objectified and unfairly sexualized. She painted herself as the victim of a toxic system that judged women for their looks instead of their skills. Fast forward to today, and she's literally walking in her underwear for millions of viewers, proudly, publicly, and profitably. And before anyone says, relax, it's just a fashion show, no, it's not that simple, because this isn't just about one photo shoot or one sponsorship deal. What Angel's doing right now fits into a bigger pattern that's been building for months. It's about how she manipulates public narratives, when she cries foul, and when she cashes in. And by the end of this story, it's going to be crystal clear. This moment is way bigger than a runway walk. It's the mask slipping in real time. You've seen the tweets. Look how confident she is. Look at her body positivity. Sure, confidence is great. Nobody's against confidence. Sophie Cunningham posts beach photos all the time. She embraces her femininity, looks good doing it, and no one cares. Because she's consistent. She never stood on a podium claiming the world was sexualizing her. She never framed herself as a victim of the male gaze. She never cried on camera about being seen as more of a model than a baller. Angel Reese did all that, and then turned around and did exactly what she said hurt her. That's not empowerment, that's calculated contradiction. Don't sexualize me, don't look at me like that. I mean, I know I'm walking out my drawers, but you're not allowed to do that. Nah, no. Doesn't work like this. This is not Burger King. You don't get to have it your way, regardless of whether you want it your way or not. And that's exactly why this moment has people shaking their heads. You can't have it both ways. You can't spend months complaining about being objectified and then turn around and profit off the very thing you said was destroying your peace. That's not authenticity, that's opportunism. And people are catching on. This isn't Burger King. You can't have it your way. That phrase hits differently when you look at Angel's entire career trajectory. Because that's exactly what she's trying to do, control every narrative. She wants to decide when her sexuality is empowerment and when it's exploitation. When she's modeling lingerie, it's body positivity. But when someone questions her shot selection or attitude on the court, suddenly it's, the world hates confident black women. It's selective outrage packaged as feminism. And it's textbook manipulation, playing the victim when it's convenient, then pivoting to empowerment when the check's clear. As a step towards being an OnlyFans model. This is Angel Reese is basketball Barbie. And soon she'll be OnlyFans Barbie once she gets done using basketball to promote her real passion. She wants to be a sex symbol. And she wants to pretend like she has some intellectual integrity, and make no mistake, that Victoria's Secret deal, it's not about empowerment, it's about money and visibility. That's big brand money, that's pop culture attention, that's mainstream fame she's been chasing since LSU. But the truth behind it is ugly, because while she's cashing modeling checks, her basketball game has flatlined. She's not developing her fundamentals. She's not working on that shaky jumper or tightening her footwork in the post. She's building her empire around social media buzz, drama, and her image, not her stats. There's a brutal but honest quote floating around online, from basketball Barbie to OnlyFans Barbie. It sounds harsh, but is it wrong? Take a look at her priorities. The viral interviews, the brand shoots, the red carpet appearances. It's all sizzle, no steak. The basketball, that's just the stage she uses to stay relevant enough to sell something else. She's not chasing greatness, she's chasing clout. And you know what? That's her right. She can do whatever she wants with her career. Wasn't she the one whining because she felt the WNBA was, quote, sexualizing her? She said it was she was still in college. This is her coming out in college. Right there, that's at the LSU post-game presser, where she wanted everybody to cry. I got tagged right here, stop sexualizing me. But here's the thing, own it. If you're going to monetize your sexuality, then say so. Don't cry about being sexualized while signing lingerie deals. Don't build a brand on victimhood while leaning into the very same tactics you condemned. Because the receipts are out there, and they're not going away. Stop sexualizing me. Those 3 words might end up haunting Angel Reese for the rest of her professional life. Because every time she does something like this, every time she walks a lingerie runway, posts a thirst trap, or brands herself around feminine confidence, people will bring those words right back up. And they should. This isn't about shaming a woman for being confident or dressing how she wants. This is about consistency and integrity. If you're going to profit off sexuality, you don't get to weaponize it as a shield when things don't go your way. You can't flip the narrative based on what's profitable that week. And that infamous press conference, the one where she cried about being sexualized, that clip will live forever. Because it was never just emotional honesty, it was branding. It was a calculated narrative move. By framing herself as the victim, Angel built an emotional shield. Now, whenever she faces criticism, she can say it's sexism, racism, or jealousy. It's a built-in defense mechanism. But the Victoria's Secret moment shattered that illusion. Because you can't claim you're being sexualized against your will while simultaneously marketing your sexuality for millions. That's not oppression, that's strategy. And here's where the story gets even deeper. The WNBA has spent years trying to figure out how to market its stars. The league has struggled with mainstream attention because it doesn't always know how to balance competition with image. And then along comes Angel Reese, breaking the mold, glam, confident, unapologetically feminine. She does the makeup, the hair, the nails, the photo shoots, and for once people outside of basketball start paying attention. In theory, that's a good thing. But the problem is the foundation she built it on, hypocrisy. At a Victoria's Secret, they can't... Look, my head. Forget that standard. Most of them they're tatted up, they're wearing weaves, they're unattractive, and they're angry, and because attractiveness comes from the inside, it comes from the spirit inside of you, and they've been so submerged in anger and bitterness and hostility that they've denied or limited their beauty. See, the WNBA could have used this as a marketing case study, but instead, it's become a case of self-inflicted chaos. Angel's success in modeling exposes a hard truth about sports entertainment. Sex appeal still sells. It always has. But there is a right way and a wrong way to leverage it. Sophie Cunningham proves that perfectly. She embraces her looks, her fitness, her femininity. But she never pretends to be a victim of it. She owns it. She plays ball, markets herself authentically, and moves on. That's why no one calls her out. She's consistent. She's honest. This guy even says, I'm still a fan of her play on the court. What the hell happened to her eyes? She'll literally do anything but basketball. I mean, if I was her, I probably wouldn't go this route because you knew she was going to take heat. But look, I think she's to the point. Angel Reese, on the other hand, built her fame on contradiction. She cried foul when people talked about her appearance, then leaned into it when it made her money. She complained about being objectified, then monetized her image with a Victoria's Secret contract. That's not empowerment. That's hypocrisy. And even her own fans are struggling to defend it now. Look at these reactions. Didn't she cry about being sexualized? She looks lost out there. She'll do anything for attention except work on her jump shot. These aren't just random internet trolls taking shots. This is what happens when public hypocrisy becomes impossible to deny. People feel duped, they feel manipulated. Because let's not forget, a lot of people actually believed Angel Reese when she said she was being unfairly sexualized and victimized. They defended her. They empathized with her. They rallied behind her, thinking she was standing up for something meaningful. And now, those same people feel like they were played. They feel like Angel weaponized their sympathy to climb higher, only to cash in on the very thing she said was harming her. That's why the backlash is so fierce. This isn't about a fashion show. It's about broken trust. Once people feel used, they don't forget, and they rarely forgive. And let's be real. This is what Angel Reese truly wants. The basketball court was never the destination. It was the launch pad. That's the uncomfortable truth most people are finally starting to admit. The WNBA isn't her passion. It's her marketing vehicle. The sport isn't the goal. fame is. Basketball is just the convenient background for the lifestyle she's chasing. And that realization changes everything about how fans view her career. Because once it stops being about competition and becomes about exposure, the whole narrative shifts from athlete to influencer. And that's exactly what we're witnessing. Now, there's nothing inherently wrong with using sports as a stepping stone. Tons of athletes have done it. Serena Williams moved into fashion. Shaq became an entrepreneur. Even Caitlin Clark's building her empire. But through authenticity and excellence, not contradiction. The difference is honesty. When you pretend to be something you're not. When you posture as the humble victim of public scrutiny while chasing the same spotlight you claim to hate. That's when credibility dies. And once you lose credibility, everything else starts to crumble. If Angel Reese hadn't have done that, if she hadn't have played that victim card, I wouldn't give a rat's ass that she's doing this. But yeah, if you're going to be that big, that large of a hypocrite, you're going to get called out for it. Of course you are. I mean, honestly, I'm still trying to figure out why the guy that created the Me Bounce thing on TikTok isn't suing her over the Me Bounce thing. She literally just snatched that from a content creator. He ought to snatch it right back. If he was smart, here's the truth. The victim card is powerful. In today's culture, it's one of the most effective shields there is. Once you convince people you've been wronged, they become hesitant to criticize you. They pull their punches. They tiptoe around accountability because they don't want to look cruel or insensitive. And Angel Reese knew that. She played it perfectly after LSU's championship. Tears, emotion, vulnerability, all wrapped in moral high ground. She wasn't just defending herself. She was constructing armor. And for a while it worked. But here's the problem with weaponized victimhood. Eventually the truth catches up. Eventually, the gap between your words and your actions becomes too big to ignore. And when that happens, the entire shield shatters. That's exactly what we're watching unfold right now. That Victoria's Secret appearance didn't just highlight hypocrisy. It obliterated the narrative she built her brand on. Victims don't get major lingerie deals. Victims don't chase runway fame. Victims don't partner with the very machine they once claimed was exploiting them. The moment Angel stepped onto that runway, she demolished her own defense mechanism. The act was too public, too visual, and too contradictory to spin. You can't cry about being objectified and then turn objectification into a business strategy. The cognitive dissonance is so blatant that even her supporters are speechless. The game she's been playing, crying foul when convenient, celebrating fame when profitable, just ended in front of millions. They're frustrated, overly masculine, wannabe men, play a very boring style of basketball, and most of them, just like many athletes in professional football, they're doing this because, hey, I'm good at it, I'm tall. I hit the genetics lottery, and I got this height and athleticism, and so I might as well use it. And here's the irony. Angel's entire situation exposes one of the biggest identity crises the WNBA has ever faced. The league has spent years trying to figure out who it wants to be. Should it market athleticism and competitiveness? Should it lean into social justice messaging? Should it embrace femininity and fashion? It's tried all of them, and none of it has quite stuck. Fans feel confused about what the product even is. Angel Reese represents one of the few players who actually broke through that fog. And she did it by merging sport and celebrity. On paper, that's not a bad thing. She's trying to prove that a WNBA player can be glamorous, confident, and visible beyond basketball. She's saying, I can be a hooper, a model, and a brand all at once. And you know what? That concept could have worked beautifully if she were honest about it, because the problem isn't the modeling. It's not the femininity. It's not even the lingerie. It's the dishonesty. You can't claim victimhood while monetizing the exact thing you said was traumatizing you. You can't stand on the moral high ground while selling tickets to the view from below. That contradiction destroys authenticity. And without authenticity, even the smartest marketing strategy eventually implodes. I have a real issue, one commentator said, when someone plays the victim and then immediately does something like this. That statement sums it all up. This isn't about hating Angel Reese. It's not about tearing down a woman for embracing her confidence. It's about consistency. It's about accountability. If you're going to own your image and monetize your body, fine, do that. If you want to focus on basketball and keep the spotlight off your appearance, fine, do that too. But you can't flip-flop between both whenever it benefits you most. That's not empowerment, that's manipulation. And people are exhausted by it. It might not be so smart. And I've largely quit doing Angel Reese videos because, I'm gonna be honest, people have gotten to the point for a lot of videos, they don't care what she's doing anymore. She's losing her stay, and now we're seeing the consequences play out. The same fans who once defended her are the ones mocking her now, saying her career path looks less like an athlete's and more like an influencer pipeline. From Basketball Barbie to OnlyFans Barbie, the comments say, harsh? Maybe. But let's be honest. Is it really that far-fetched? Look at the trajectory. Today it's Victoria's Secret. Tomorrow it's magazine covers. After that, who knows? When the basketball spotlight fades, and it will, especially if her game doesn't evolve, what's the next logical step for someone who's built their brand entirely on appearance and controversy? It's not an insult. It's a pattern recognition. People are simply connecting the dots she's drawn herself. And if that sounds cynical, let's not forget, this isn't new behavior for Angel. The Me Bounds incident is a perfect case study. She took a phrase and concept created by someone else, trademarked it without acknowledgement, and tried to turn it into a business. No credit, no compensation, just opportunism. It's the same pattern repeating, take what benefits her, ignore the ethics, and keep moving forward. Whether it's intellectual property, public sympathy, or a sexual image, it's all the same playbook. Use whatever generates attention, no matter the contradiction. Here's the bottom line. Angel Reese didn't get cancelled by critics. She cancelled herself. She walked that Victoria's Secret runway, and in doing so, torched her own narrative. She can no longer cry about being sexualized when she's profiting off it. She can't plead victimhood while marketing seduction. The contradiction is too loud, too public, and too permanent. So now she's at a crossroads. Does she double down on the victim story and pretend the hypocrisy doesn't exist? Does she try to rebrand entirely as an entertainer and leave basketball behind? Or does she finally admit what's been obvious all along?